Hello there. Welcome to my show, COVID-19 update by Heerak. It's December 12th, 2020. Yeah, it's 13 days before Christmas, y'all. Christmas is coming. Are you excited and happy? I was just driving from work. As you know, I work as a nurse, registered nurse, RN nurse at Virginia Hospital Center, which is in Arlington, Virginia. I'm a very good nurse. So those of you who have been my patients know how good I am. You lucky people who had me as nurse today, you know, uh, or other days, or you lucky people who will have me as your nurse in the future. Yeah, come to Virginia Hospital Center, you'll be so lucky to have me as your nurse, but all the nurses at Virginia Hospital Center are just awesome. So whoever treats you, you're in for a treat. They're great nurses. Um, but yeah, I was driving back from my work. I worked a 12-hour shift, from like 7 a.m. to like 7:30 p.m. They include the lunchtime, it's not counted. So you work 12 hours, but your lunchtime, you don't get paid. That's why you work from 7 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Um, so we're not Europe, they don't pay us to eat. Some people like socialism because of that. They actually pay you to eat, but I love America, so I'm not gonna complain about our capitalism here. Um, but yeah, so I was driving back from Virginia Hospital Center after 12 hours of working, and I saw this wonderful, beautiful Christmas lights, and I was like, "Yay!" You feel so good looking at these lights, and some of these lights are amazing. I mean, we have artistes. We have artistes in like Arlington and Falls Church. Um, and I think we have artistes in Fairfax County and Alexandria too. They do all kinds of stuff with lighting and just like it's amazing. Some people even have light show. I mean, they literally have a light show, like a mini light show with their home. I mean, I'm like, whoa, these people are amazing. And I'm sure you share the same sentiment. Those of you who've seen incredible light shows or light festivities. I mean, there are a lot of creative people, in the world, but certainly in Virginia's 8th district. I think we have the most number of creative people in Virginia's 8th district. So if you live in Washington D.C. or Maryland, just drive through like Virginia's 8th district at nighttime and see how creative all these Virginia 8th district residents are. It's amazing. Some people go all out. It's like I've seen some houses coming close to Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation. He decorates his whole house in Christmas lights. There's some houses that come close, but not exactly though. Still, Chevy Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation is still king. All that lighting. I'm still waiting to see a house like that. But maybe I'll drive through a neighborhood and see one of those. And I'll share with you my Twitter account at Heerak for Congress, Heerak number 4 Congress. So if I see it, I'm going to share with you. I'll share with the world. Because people around the world are following my Twitter account and checking in with my Twitter account. Um, Even if they're not officially following it, they check in once in a while. And look at some people check in every day. you know. So yeah, today is 12-hour fresh breath day, and I was at the Virginia Hospital Center working, and I had a mask on. Everybody who works basically wears a mask right anywhere, but certainly in the hospital. And I was thinking to myself, do you remember those days when you had to like have a mint or something to make sure your breath doesn't stink? I'm like, it's like, well, those were the days, right? That was like about a year ago when you go to work and you're kind of like, check to see if your breath doesn't stink. Now, I know some people who actually bring toothbrush and toothpaste to work and they toothbrush and toothpaste, like they brush their teeth during lunchtime. I know people like that, you know? And then some people just chew gum, or some people have mints. I don't know how regularly gum company is doing, you know, because a lot of the people chew gum just to make sure their breath doesn't stink. But with the mask on, you don't have to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? So maybe candy companies, mint companies, and chewing gum companies are going bankrupt. I don't know. I haven't done any study on that, but if you have done some study, you know, email me, let me know. Oh, white Christmas. Do you think we'll have a white Christmas in Virginia, in Arlington, Fairfax County, Falls Church, and Alexandria? Where the treetops listen and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. Man, this guy's like voice is low. I can't sing that low. You know what I'm saying? Dreaming of a white Christmas with every Christmas card. Have you written your Christmas cards yet? Oh my gosh, I gotta get to those. Be merry and bright. You know, when my dad was a senior pastor of First Korean Presbyterian Church in Philadelphia, he wrote a Christmas card to every single family in the church. My dad is like type A personality when it comes to pastoring. So like every Christmas he handwrites a Christmas card to every family in the church. And my dad's church was one of the biggest churches, Korean churches in Philadelphia. He handwrites. I mean, that's how much he loves his church members. I mean, he handwrites to every family. Like my dad doesn't just like write happy, Merry Christmas. Like Chuk Song Tan in Korean, Chuk Song Tan means Merry Christmas. He doesn't just write those pretty letters, Chuk Song Tan. He writes like he fills the pages, it's like, I mean, geez, I mean, your hand's probably hurting after writing and handwriting Christmas cards for like the whole church. But my dad does that, he's like so. He loved his church members so much. He still loves them. He still prays for them. But when he was a pastor, I mean, he wrote Christmas cards, and every year he has this thing called rotational church visitation. He visits every single family in the church. I mean, every single family. Like with my mom, they go everywhere together. My dad is the pastor. My mom is the pastor's wife, so she goes everywhere my dad goes. So like even single people, like college students who are alone, my mom and my dad would go and kind of go to the college dormitory or whatever, and like have a worship service. So basically, what my dad does is he visits every home. Every home. College students are in the dorms, and he has a mini worship service and a sermon specifically prepared for the family or this college student, just college student, like based on his spiritual guidance. So once a year, he has this rotational visitation where he visits people at their home. So this is always in their home, like at the dormitory. It's not outside. It's always home. It's not at work. And then he has this rotational visitation of work. So he visits every church member in their business if they want. I mean, if they don't want, generally they want. But like if you work in a company in FBI office or because we have church members who work everywhere, right, in different places. Or police department or whatever. It's a little bit, they may feel a little awkward, but like if they want, my dad doesn't care. He'll go to the police office, police building, and if one of the church members is a police officer, he would have a mini worship service or whatever during the break time. But you get like 30-minute break, so it's a little bit harder to do if you're like being paid. But if you have your own business, and a lot of Korean immigrants have their own business, like Dry cleaners is a thing for Koreans. I like to have other kinds of businesses too. So he has this rotational visitation of the businesses, and he prays for the business that it'll be successful. He blesses them. And so he does this, so most people who own businesses want my dad to come and bless the business. So my dad is like a type A personality, pastor, you know. So he visits, like he does this rotationally. And then obviously he has on call, meaning anytime any church member feels any distress, depression, anxiety, fear, they can just call him and my dad's there like in 15 minutes. I mean, if he doesn't have other things, like if he's at church praying or preparing sermon, he reads the Bible and he prays like 3 hours a day. So any church member who has any kind of distress, if they are feeling depressed, anxiety, fear, they call my dad. He's there like in 15 minutes. I mean, he's like an on-call pastor. He's literally like, he's there. And my mom goes everywhere he goes, obviously. So, and my dad got paid under the poverty line. Like household income was under the poverty line. How do I know? Because I had to fill out those financial aid forms for University of Pennsylvania when I was an undergraduate. So, I had to ask my dad for tax returns. And I looked at him like, man, my dad's like getting paid under the poverty line. I calculated, it's like he gets paid like $1 an hour, less than $1 an hour for all the work he does. It's like less than $1 an hour. I mean, geez, my dad, he's like, and that's why I know true Christianity is a true religion, because my dad's not the only one. A lot of Korean pastors are like that. And I know Christianity is a true religion because there are pastors, Korean pastors, like 99% of Korean pastors do this in America. You know, can you imagine the kind of love you must have for Jesus to do this? Get paid less than $1 per hour. I mean, can you believe it? I mean, it's a true religion just from a sociological angle. You can't tell me that all these thousands of Korean pastors are crazy, right? They're getting paid less than $1 to pastor a church, and do all this stuff they do. They love Jesus and they love their church members. So they many Korean pastors get paid less than $1 if you calculate it. There are pastors, it's not just Korean pastors. We're talking about Hispanic, Latino pastors too. I mean, Latino pastors, are evangelical pastors, but many of them. And, they give themselves for the Latino community in Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and Fairfax County. And just like my father, they're against gay marriage and they're against abortion. But they give themselves to Jesus and to the church members. Like they work for pennies. Literally, they work for pennies. And they don't never complain. I never heard my dad complain. That takes true religion, right? I mean, can you imagine people doing that at a Jewish synagogue, like a rabbi working for $1, less than $1 per hour? You will not find the rabbi who will work for less than $1, Jewish rabbi. You will not. Show me a rabbi. I'm just stating the facts here. Email me and my official U.S. Congress website. I mean, you could email me. If you know a Jewish rabbi who's working for less than $1 per hour, email me. Because I don't know a single rabbi, and I'm an expert of Jews. I'm a global expert of Jews. I don't know a single rabbi anywhere in the world who will work for less than $1 an hour. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Muslims are pretty serious. But I don't know, I don't know too much about Islam in America. So if you're Muslim, email me. If you're imam, religious leader in America works for less than $1 an hour, email me. I want to know. But you can tell whether a religion is a true religion by that kind of devotion. Like my dad never complained about his pay. He's never complained ever. I've never heard him complain ever about his pay. Never, ever. And that's not Korean pastors are like that all over America. Because I've been in different churches. I know pastors because I run in that circle. I've never heard pastor complain to another pastor about his pay in any way. It's just not done. They don't complain about the pay. Um, because and so from that vantage point, I know that Christianity is a true religion from a sociological angle. To have that kind of devotion, solicit that kind of devotion from so many people, majority of the people. I mean, my one of my roommates at University of Pennsylvania, David Kim, and he did his 5 years at University of Pennsylvania, and he was a roommate of mine for 1 year. He majored in Chinese and biological basis of behavior, BBB, and he got for 5 years. He was fluent in Chinese. He's a brilliant guy, genius guy. His younger brother Isaac went to University of Chicago. Brilliant guy. Both of them are pre-med. Their father was a Southern Baptist, is still a Southern Baptist preacher, pastor, and he was paid under the poverty line too, like under $1 an hour for all his work. And he was so poor that when my friend David Kim graduated, in order to attend his graduation, you know what he did? David Kim's father was a Southern Baptist minister in Houston, Texas. He took 3 Greyhound buses to get to University of Pennsylvania because he cannot afford the plane ride. He cannot afford, literally cannot afford the plane ride. And his car is too clunky. It's like over 10 years old, over like 150,000, 200,000 miles old. It would break down. So he took a Greyhound bus from Houston, Texas to Philadelphia. It took him like over 24 hours to come to my friend David Kim's graduation. So initially, both David Kim and Isaac Kim were pre-med because they looked at their dad, who got paid less than $1, and got stepped on by some angry churchgoers, who take their frustration out on the pastor. It happens in a lot of churches, right? And so these 2 sons who are brilliant, one went to University of Chicago, one went to University of Pennsylvania. They didn't want to become a pastor, right? They wanted to become a medical doctor, a surgeon to make a lot of money. So they started studying pre-med. And David Kim, he kind of lost his faith. Like he kind of denounced God. And didn't go to church, kind of fell away from Christian faith. And I brought him back to the fold. I shepherded him, discipled him back to the Christian faith. And after 5 years at University of Pennsylvania, majoring in Chinese and biological basis of behavior, he got accepted to a medical school. So his future was secure. He's a brilliant guy. He would do well in medical school. He could, as a surgeon, if he's a great surgeon, could make over $1 million a year. He decided to go to seminary. God called him to Christian ministry. So he went to Westminster Theological Seminary and became an ordained pastor in my dad's church, my dad's denomination, Korean American Presbyterian Church, Bushin. Yeah. And then now he's a pastor in a church in California right now. Think about that. And he gets paid like less than $1 per hour. Korean churches should pay their pastors more. I think. And Isaac, he got into medical school as well. He joined the U.S. Army, became because he had no money. So he got into medical school, but he had no money. So he had joined the U.S. Army, and U.S. Army paid for his medical school education. And then he became a doctor in the U.S. Army. So he's stationed in California and goes to his brother's church. Esther Kim, she's also very smart. Their sister, youngest sister, ended up going to University of Pennsylvania, dating a Jewish guy for 3 years, very serious. And he's like, this Jewish guy's like, I will marry you if you convert to Judaism. And Esther kind of lost her Christian faith because think about it, they're all three brilliant guys, two brilliant, they're all brilliant. They're all like rank one, rank two in their school, high school, public high school. They see their father working for less than $1 and getting stepped on, right? And he seems happy being a pastor, right? So all three of them kind of lost their faith for a little bit because they're like, if Christianity is this kind of pauper's religion, religion of the poor people, I don't want anything to do with it. There are billionaire, millionaire Jews who are living a very wealthy life. Obviously, that is the true religion. Religion filled with blessing and wealth, not my dad's religion, where he's a Southern Baptist minister working for less than $1 a day. That's what the kids were thinking. So they kind of turned their back on Christianity because they're like kind of big eggheads, right? They're like, they judge the true religion by how wealthy people are. That's why Esther started dating a Jewish guy at University of Pennsylvania who's like from Boston area. Like his father owns a big law firm in Boston, like multi-millionaire. Big law firm. And Boston is a financial center. So, and he's like, if you convert to Judaism, I'll marry you. And Esther is like, yes, she renounced Christian faith, but she was kind of like non-religious, And she's like, her father's a Southern Baptist minister. And she's like, if he really loved me, why would he want me to convert to Judaism, to get married to him? Why is that even a condition, So that was a big problem for her. And like Ivanka Trump converted to Judaism in order to marry this millionaire Jared Kushner. A lot of Koreans that I know have done that too, to marry like a billionaire or millionaire Jews. They converted to Judaism or whatever. People do that. Marilyn Monroe converted to Judaism to marry a Jewish guy. So you have cases like this everywhere. But thankfully with Esther Kim, she did not convert. Because why would you want to convert? From a true religion. Although Esther fell away from Christian faith. So eventually she came back. Esther Kim came back and started working for University of Pennsylvania in its official capacity as a staff member, and then I started attending 10th Presbyterian Church. 10th Presbyterian Church has a lot of people at University of Pennsylvania, who work at University of Pennsylvania. Like, because Philadelphia is a very Christian city. Although there are 1 million Jews in the greater Philadelphia area, it's also the city of Westminster Theological Seminary. So there's a lot of Black Christians are very evangelical. So University of Pennsylvania, like when I go to the library, I always see like Black people who are working as security guard reading their Bible. That stuck with me when I went to University of Pennsylvania. They're always reading their Bible. They're reading their Bible. And then if a student comes, they look up and they check ID, but they're reading their Bible. And so, I had a lot of respect for Black Christians, especially Black Christians of Philadelphia. They're devoutly Christian, many of them. And so, Jews cannot understand this because they don't understand what's going on with like, they think like Black people are Democrats, or like they think Black people don't care about Jesus, that Black people don't care about Christmas. They have these assumptions about Black people, which is absolutely wrong. But then, they're not Black, so how are they going to understand Black people? Especially Black Christians, right? But anyway, so this, Jewish guy, multimillionaire, maybe even a billionaire, father, big law firm, owner of a big law firm in Boston. He thought he was doing Esther Kim a favor, right? Saying, If you convert to Judaism, I'll marry you. Kind of like Jared Kushner to Ivanka Trump. It's like a favor. But so it's like this. Like Christianity is a true religion because Jewish wealth doesn't impress us. Like not a single person in Southern Baptist Convention who's truly like devoutly following the Bible is impressed by billions of dollars of any Jewish rich person. Like it doesn't impress us. Like Jared Kushner doesn't impress me at all. I know a lot of billionaire Jews because I went to University of Pennsylvania and some of my classmates have become billionaires. Doesn't impress me. I'm like, so what? Like when you die, you die. If you die of COVID, you die. You can't take everything with you. You know what I mean? And so when we look at the story of Lazarus and the rich man that Jesus told, Jesus never glorified the rich man, right? Jesus never said that being homeless is bad, right? Because if you look at the story of the Lazarus and the rich man, Lazarus is a poor guy, homeless, right? Rejected by the world, has nothing. Everybody just like looks down on him, right? Because he's homeless and poor. This is Lazarus. And there's this rich man that everybody in society respects, like Jared Kushner or his Kushner family. But in the Gospels, the hero of the story by Jesus told this story, is not the rich person. It's the poor person, right? So the point is this. It's better to be poor with Jesus, rejecting gay marriage, rejecting abortion. Being poor is better than becoming a billionaire, accepting homosexuality, becoming a billionaire, accepting abortion. That's the modern application. As you know, I'm an expert theologian, card-carrying theologian. So the message of the gospel is this. Who is better? The poor Lazarus who has no job, no home, no friends, rejected by everybody in the world, poor and homeless, downtrodden, who dies because of his poverty, probably from malnutrition or from disease in his poverty, who goes to heaven, to Abraham's bosom, eternal life with Jesus, or this rich guy, billionaire like Kushner's, or any of these wealthy Jewish billionaires who do not believe in Jesus and goes to eternal damnation in hell. What is better? So in the gospel story that Jesus told, it is better to be homeless, believing in Jesus, dying and going to heaven, than being a billionaire like a Kushner who go to eternal damnation in hell because they reject Jesus. That's the gospel. This is the gospel. That is why not a single Southern Baptist Christian who loves Jesus will respect you because of your money or wealth or power. You have no control over Southern Baptist Christians or Assemblies of God Christians who truly believe in Christ. However powerful you are, you think, however money you have no power. Because the gospel is powerful, right? Why do you think for 2,000 years Christianity has been growing and Jews are down to 12 million people? There are only 12 million Jews in the world. There are 6 million Jews in America, about 4 million Jews in Israel, and 2 million Jews like spread out. Why do you think? Every country you go to, I kid you not, every country you go to, Jews are the wealthiest people. You go to England, you go to Germany, even after the Holocaust, you have Jews in Germany who are like the wealthiest people. You go to Brazil, you go to Mexico, you go to every country in the world where there are Jews, they're like the wealthiest people. When they're down to 12 million, right? And you have like people like my father, who's a Christian pastor, he works for less than $1. And he is joyful and happy that he can serve God, right? I assure you, there's no Jew in America who can understand this, even the rabbis, because I said there's no rabbis getting paid $1 an hour. No rabbi is crazy enough to work for $1 an hour, like my father is, and like 99% of the Korean pastors are in America. You know how many Southern Baptist preachers in America work and live on the poverty line? They get paid under $1 if you calculate all the hours they spend on their ministry. You know how I know? When I was at Fuller Theological Seminary, one of my closest friends, he went to a Bible college, and he went to Fuller Seminary to do MDiv. And that was a big thing because he was an ordained pastor because I don't know if it was Assemblies of God, but one of the charismatic groups. He was already a pastor. He married a beautiful woman from his Bible college. And he showed me his ring. He's like a white guy. He's big, like played high school football. A lot of Christian guys play high school football for some reason. I don't understand why, but football is a big thing among white Christians. But he played high school football. You know, he was like a captain or something in his high school football team. Went to Bible college because God called him. And he became a preacher in like Assemblies of God or some kind of Pentecostal denomination. And he married this, oh my gosh, his wife is one of the most beautiful women I've seen in my life. And so he married her. And I saw his wedding ring. It's not even gold. I mean, it's like made out of, I don't know, I think it was like, it had golden color, but it was definitely not gold. It was like copper or something. You know, I was staring at his ring because it looked, you know, and so he tried to hide it. He was, I guess, a little embarrassed about it. And he worked as a security guard at Fuller Theological Seminary, and it's like minimum pay because, you know, he doesn't get paid. I mean, as a pastor, you know, Assemblies of God Church, and he had to pay the Fuller Theological Seminary tuition, and his church wasn't big enough to pay his tuition. I mean, most churches are not. Small, you know, like evangelical churches tend to be kind of small, like localized. And so he's like, you know, he's always filled with the Spirit, always happy because, you know, he's like, I want to learn more about the Bible. And they're like, you know, like white pastors like that, you know, Assemblies of God and Baptists who, you know, who live in abject poverty. And he was grossly poor because he chose ministry. Obviously, he could have gone pro football, you know, but you know, God called him in high school, so he went to Bible college and became a minister, and he's happy about it. I mean, how many football players, you know, get to serve God, right? I mean, God didn't call you, so tough luck, you know. God has to call you for you to be a minister. You can't just become a minister, right? Because how are you gonna like work for $1 a day if God didn't call you? You will not have the desire to do that. So, so you know, like the joy is not just that they're working for God, it's that God called them, right? They have 100% certainty that God called them to do what they do. Kind of like, you know, I'm 100% certain this is what God called me to do, to run for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th district. So I'm very happy to do that, you know. Money is no object. No, not that money is no object. I don't care, you know. You donate to my campaign, great. You don't donate to my campaign, great. I know this is God's calling for me, so, you know, that's why I'm running for U.S. Congress, you know. If God wants me to win, I'll win. If God doesn't want me to win, I don't want to win. You know, I mean, there's no stress. But I know this is the direction God wants me to go. So you have to live with certainty in life, right? And that's the only way you're going to have true peace and joy. And I have 100% certainty this is what God wants me to do. So, yeah, so anyway, going back to the pastor, the Assemblies of God or Pentecostal, you know, I forgot what his denomination was. Maybe it was Foursquare Church. But all of those pastors are poor. Assemblies of God pastors. You know, you have some big Assemblies of God pastors who may be rich, but I'm talking about like an average, normal Assemblies of God church or normal Southern Baptist church, you know. And so, or normal Foursquare church. So there's no power Jews have over Christians in America. Absolutely zero power. Your money doesn't matter. Your power doesn't matter. These Christians are willing to go to prison for Jesus. Even law enforcement does not matter. They don't care. They don't care about your influence, power. They're going to serve Jesus. And this is what Jews cannot understand. Jews cannot understand America and America's Christians because they cannot understand what they are not part of. They're not Christians. They don't understand because they're not part of it. And they will never understand. That's why Jews getting killed for 2,000 years. You can summarize Jewish history as Jews getting killed by Gentiles. For 2,000 years, it happens again and again because Jews don't understand how Gentiles think, especially Gentile Christians. Because for 2,000 years, Muslims did not really kill Jews, but Christians killed Jews for 2,000 years. Muslims haven't really killed Jews for 2,000 years. Christians definitely have killed Jews for 2,000 years wherever they are, or kick them out of their country, like in Spain. But they don't understand the Christian Gentiles. That's the problem, right? Jews in America do not understand us Christians. They never will. It's just they only look through their own experience, their lens, so they have tunnel vision. They can never understand. This goes for Senator Schumer. This goes for Adam Schiff. Every Jew in U.S. Congress, every Jew in U.S. Senate, they have no idea what America is truly like because they're Jewish. I mean, they're not going to understand Christians. They're not Christians. I'm an expert of Jews, but I studied Judaism and Jewish history for decades. And I lived in Israel for 3 years. And I purposely did not have any non-Jewish friends, the close friends. Because, I like Jews and I like Israel, but I also wanted to understand what it means to live totally in a Jewish world. And you can't do that like going to Israel, living 3 years, and then having all these Christian friends. You know what I'm saying? So I totally had like 100% like Jewish friends. Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Feliz Navidad. So it's kind of important, to understand what Christmas means to Christians, I remember watching It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart. And there's a part where he says Christmas is for poor people like us, and that Jews don't understand this, Christmas is not just about a religion or a celebration of the birth of Jesus. Christmas is one holiday. It's one holiday where poor people in America feel like they can be some, they can share joy and happiness. That's why Christmas is so important for America. Because every poor people and even middle class American Christians, this is like one time in a year, where they can do something special. They don't have that much money, poor people. Like David Kim's father, their children don't get new clothes, they don't have money. So like Christmas is like one time in a year, they get something new, like a new shirt. And literally. And this is not just David Kim's family. It's like millions of families in America. And this is something that Jews will never understand. And I understand because, my father is a senior pastor who lived under the poverty line. So he's respected by the community, but he was making less than $1. I don't remember, how many times we went out to eat as a family to a restaurant? My family, once a week, we'd go to McDonald's. That was our big thing because my dad did not have money. We'd go to McDonald's once a week on like Saturday, and we would have like Big Mac. And that was like our biggest highlight of the week. We all look forward to it, my sisters and me, because, we're like, wow, this is like, whoa, we get to eat outside. Because that's how much my dad could afford, right? And then what my dad did? We go to McDonald's, the local McDonald's in our neighborhood. And it was like a big deal for us. He would stand up You know, we have like Big Mac in front of us. My two sisters and me and my mother and my father, there's like 5 Big Macs. And my dad would stand up in like middle of McDonald's. You know, I mean, we sat wherever we could, but once we sat, like my dad would stand up middle of McDonald's and he would pray. And you know, he's a pastor. So sometimes his prayer is like 5 minutes long. So you can imagine he's standing up middle of a McDonald's, praying in Korean for the family for 5 minutes. I mean, like, just say thank you, God, for the food. Let's eat. I mean, you don't have to like, you know, pray 5 minutes about how great God is and how loving God is of our family, how blessed we are as a family, blah, 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 you know, for 5 minutes. So we, yeah, my sister and I were like, oh my gosh, you know, we're like a little embarrassed, you know. After, you know, like whole high school, 4 years of that, like every week, you know, I go to college, I'm like, you know, I talk about Jesus, nothing phases me, you know. You know what I mean? You should hear the things that people say around us, you know, when my dad prays like that. Yeah, but anyway, you know, so it kind of you know, gave us courage, you know, you know. But you know, this is something that Jews can never ever understand in America. Jews will never understand us, never. And I'm talking about like majority of 330 million Americans. Jews will never understand us. And they're like, well, less than 6% of the population, less than 2% of America. They will never understand us. And you know what I'm saying? If you're a Christian out there, Jews will never understand us, never, ever. They think like they have billions that they could use to tell us what to do. You know, they think they could use the police to arrest us if we want to follow the Bible and oppose gay marriage. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know, Jews think like they're like our slave masters. You know, and Jews will never understand our faith for Jesus. There's no way they could come between us and Jesus. All the laws that change, all the police officers they have in their pocket, shame on you police officers who work for Jews and do things that you should not do, like arrest Christians who follow the Bible. Shame on you police officers who do that. Shame on you. But you know what I'm saying? Like, shame on you police officers who arrested Kim Davis. You should have refused to arrest Kim Davis. Shame on you. But anyway, but yeah, Jews will never, ever understand us. Jews will never, ever understand us. Never. And even now, they're probably grinding their teeth and saying, oh, let's get Heerak Christian Kim arrested. You know how Jews think, right? You know how Jews think. So, yeah, you know, I'm like, hey, you know, why do you think Jews get annihilated every country they go to? Because you do things like that. You piss off everybody. You know, I mean, you know what I'm saying. You know, I'm an expert of the Jews, and I've been studying Jews for decades, and it happens again and again. The same country, they try to use their laws and laws of the country, the police force and the military to try to like control things. Their political infrastructure, you know, and so the Roman Empire called Jews leeches. I mean, literally, like if you go to ancient Jewish texts, they called Jews leeches because what the Roman Empire, the democracy in Roman Empire said is Jews leech into a system and they try to manipulate it. That's what they say. And I'm like, you know, hey, you know, there are 330 million Christians in America. You know, you're trying to use police, you're trying to use court system, you're trying to use laws to control our thoughts, to control our religion, try to change our religion, change our Bible. But you're going to fail because you've always failed for 2,000 years. You never succeeded. Why do you think you're going to succeed in America now? So, you know, but hey, you know, as you know, I'm running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th district, and I'm running under the ticket, America Back to God. So, you know, hey, I'm going to exercise my freedom of speech, First Amendment right. Yeah, you're going to pass laws to arrest me, right? Because you don't want us to have freedom of speech. I understand. You know, you're a bunch of dictators. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, no, I mean, you know, hey, prove me wrong, you know, and respect my First Amendment rights. Prove me wrong. You know, you probably will not prove me wrong because Jews have been the same for 2,000 years. You're going to act like the Jews in Germany. You're going to act like Jews in Spain before 1492. Nothing has changed in 2,000 years. So you're not going to prove me wrong. You're not going to respect my right to First Amendment. You're not going to respect my religion, my right to practice my religion, right? Prove me wrong. You know, you can turn this channel off if you don't like it. I don't like what you're saying. I don't, I turn your channel off. What makes you so special that you try to like make us into slaves? You know what I'm saying? We're not slaves, we're free. Yeah, so you do what you want. We have 330 million Christians in America. And hey, what are you gonna do? Arrest all of us? Yeah, so yeah, that's why in Germany they're 100% wanting to kill you guys. 100% of Germany wanted to kill 6 million Jews. 100%. Why do you think that kind of things happen? Because of things that you do, like what you're doing now. Okay, so yeah, I'm an expert of Jews. So I'm going to give you my expert assessment of why things happened in Germany the way they did. Well, what are you going to do? Like contradict me? Yeah, this is a free country. Contradict me all you want. What? If you don't like this channel, turn it off. Well, you're not our slave masters. Turn it off and just walk away. Well, don't try to control our thoughts. Don't try to control our religion. Tomorrow is Sunday. We're going to go to worship. What are you going to do? Like put a Jewish Star of David in every church? For God's sake, let us worship with our cross of Jesus Christ. And in the Gospels, it says Jews killed Jesus. Right? Every time we look at the cross, we remember Jews killed Jesus Christ, because that's what Matthew says, Mark says, Luke says, and John says, and that's what Acts says. What, you want to call anti-Semitism? What, you want to call New Testament anti-Semitism? Hey, you want to really have that kind of religious conflict? You want the religious conflict? You want to try to change our religion? Is that what you want to do? I mean, you're basically committing self-destruction by trying to change our religion. Because New Testament has been written down. It's not going to be changed. Doesn't matter if the Pope betrays us and accepts 30 shekels of silver and sells us out. The Pope selling us out does not change our religion. You see what I'm saying? Judas Iscariot was like a Pope. One of the 12 apostles sold us out, right? So if Pope Francis sells us out, that doesn't change our religion, okay? We all know 30 shekels of silver. We all know Judas Iscariot. All 1 billion Catholics around the world know what Judas Iscariot is and what 30 shekels of silver is, because every Easter we recite the Bible passage about it. Yeah, on holidays, great. Hag Sameach, Hag Sameach, Hag Sameach, happy holidays. Yeah, these holidays are, holy days, meaning, holidays, come around religious events. That's why it's called holy days, holidays. Hag Sameach. Hag is like a, holy day kind of, like the Hajj, in Muslim tradition. Yeah, hey, don't mess with our religion. That's what all 330 million Americans are saying. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So let's go to COVID-19. This is COVID-19 America. Yeah. So basically, what we see is, yeah. So there are 3,469 people who have died from COVID-19 in America in the last 24 hours, right? Many Christians believe that this wrath is happening to us because of homosexuality, right? Romans chapter 1 condemns homosexuality and promises wrath of God. And many Christians in America believe that this is happening because of homosexuality, which Romans chapter 1 condemns. Okay, I'm just saying, that's what many Christians believe. So 3,469 people are dying every day in 24 hours. Yeah, and I'm predicting that we're gonna have 10,000 people die before Christmas. 10,000 Americans will die every day before Christmas. And then we're gonna reach 30,000 US citizens dying every day before June 2021. That's what I'm predicting. I'm predicting that all the vaccines will fail. And in fact, vaccines will make people vulnerable. So vaccines will expedite more people to die from COVID. That's what I'm predicting, because vaccines can compromise the immune system. And when your system of immunity is compromised, you have higher chance of dying from COVID. That's why I'm not taking my vaccine. I have the chance of taking vaccine next week at Virginia Hospital Center. And I said, no, I'm not going to compromise my life with a vaccine that's not proven to be working. I mean, I may take the vaccine 1 year from now, after like 1 year of seeing, what happens. But I'm not taking it now. If if my mother, my father, my sisters ask me, should I take the vaccine? I would say no, do not take the vaccine. That's what I would say. That's because I love them. I don't want them to die. But people who are not my family, you do what you want. But I mean, I don't want my mom to die. I don't want my dad to die. So I'll tell them not to take the vaccine. Because they're old as they are. If they become more immune compromised, they may not survive. So let's see, by June 2021, if you have like 30 million Americans dead, maybe it's because of the vaccine that's not tested, that's not time tested, let's say. That's my prediction. We're going to have 30 million Americans dead by June 2021 because of the vaccine. Vaccine will kill, because vaccine will compromise your immune system. So people who have healthy immune system, who would have survived COVID if they did not take the vaccine, I'm predicting that they will die because they took the vaccine. That's what I'm predicting. There is no proof that this vaccine doesn't compromise your immune system. There's no proof. There is more proof that this vaccine can compromise your immune system. And that's why, it's a dangerous thing to take this vaccine. This is why I'll tell my mother and father not to take the vaccine for at least 1 year. Because I love them. I don't want them to die. So you do what you want, but that's, personally, that's what I would tell my mom and dad if they ask me. Yeah, but that's, I mean, obviously I don't want my mom and dad to die. I mean, I don't want to die. If I thought this vaccine would help me, I'll take it. No, seriously, I take all kinds of vaccines that have been tested, time tested, because I believe in vaccines. I just don't believe in COVID-19 vaccines that's been rushed through the pipeline. I mean, they've been rushed and rushed. I mean, can you imagine how many errors have happened through all the rushing? Whenever you rush, you can make errors, right? Can you imagine how many errors in the vaccine development happened through all the rushing? That's why I'm 100% sure it's not going to work. I mean, not 100%, let's say 99.9% sure it's not going to work. But anyway, you do what you want. It's your life. I just don't want to play with my life. I don't want my parents to play with their life. I think it's gamble. There's no concrete, definitive proof that vaccine works. And there are a lot of possibilities, potentials that show that it does compromise you in some way, your health in some way, especially people with allergies, right? When people with allergies have a reaction, there is more than that meets the eye, right? It's like they have reaction the first day they get it, but there must be something going on, right? You see this photo in front of you. As you know, I'm tapped into global Korean leaders, and so you see in front of me one of the leading Korean experts, Sebastian Kim. He's now a professor at Fuller Theological Seminary, but he was a professor at University of Birmingham. He married a white woman who also became a professor at University of Birmingham Theology Department. And he was, a professor. He got his PhD at Cambridge. Was a professor at Cambridge for a while, but Sebastian Kim is considered one of the top Asian theologians in the world. So when I was the president of Cambridge University Korean Society, he was the faculty advisor at Cambridge. So I know him, well. And next to him is Reverend John Kim. He's a major leader in Korean community. So a lot of Koreans know him. His son went to Oxford University, got his PhD, and taught at Yonsei University, and is now professor in university in India. He grew up in India because his father lived in India, founded a university in India. He was a missionary to Libya at first. So when Gaddafi was in power, he had Korean citizenship, so he was able to get in. But God led him to India from Libya. He was persecuted in Libya. But anyway, and you see this guy next to the cross. He went to Stanford University to do his PhD in chemistry. His father is a professor at Seoul National University in chemistry, I believe, one of the subjects, science subjects. And he did his bachelor's at Cambridge and did his PhD at Stanford. So these are, and you see the man with the baby. He's a major editor of the largest Korean newspaper that is global. Global. Um, so he was the president of Korean Society before me, and yeah, President Kim Dae-jung was a member of Cambridge University Korean Society, and Cambridge University gave him the honorary doctorate when I was the president of Cambridge University Korean Society. So a lot of his right hand men and were at Cambridge. But anyway, yeah. So Korean society is very small. Everybody knows everybody in Korean society, especially like the major players. But yeah, so this day, as the president of Cambridge University Korean Society, I organized with the president of Oxford University Korean Society, um, a annual soccer match. And you see the photograph on the bottom. Next to me is Grace Park, who's a professor at SOAS, School of Oriental and African Studies. She's the professor of Korean at SOAS. Grace Park. Her father's a minister, Presbyterian minister as well. Kind of like Mark Keane in Vienna, the state representative from Vienna. His father's a Presbyterian pastor. It's a small world. Everybody knows everybody in the Korean community. Yeah. So anyway, going back to daily death, 3,469 COVID-19 death in one day. Okay, we didn't quite hit 5,000, but we're coming close, right? So I'm predicting 10,000 by Christmas. We can definitely get there. We may get there, we may not get there, but it's possible that we get there. Yeah, so I mean, you can see like once hospitals fill up with COVID-19 patients, and like they can't take any more patients, you're going to have 100% of the people who need hospitals dying potentially. That's why we're going to get 30 million deaths, right? Perfectly healthy people who get vaccinated, like perfectly healthy nurses, perfectly healthy doctors who don't need a vaccine, right? I mean, vaccine is not even fully tested. If you're a perfectly healthy doctor, perfectly healthy nurse, you probably will have a worse potential to survive with the vaccine, which is not tested, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you're perfectly healthy, right? So you're perfectly healthy. You take the vaccine, now your immune system is compromised because of the vaccine. Now you're going to have a lot of nurses and doctors die, right? Do you see how that works? So obviously that's my prediction. Let's see, by June 2021, we'll see whether I was right or wrong, right? Maybe not by June, you may have long-term effect. Maybe you'll go to like next year, but I think we'll know by June 21 whether I was right or wrong. That's why I'm saying, maybe I could take the vaccine, next year, Christmas time, 2021 Christmas time, after seeing what happens for a year. So let's see, yeah, you gotta be careful what you ingest or inject into yourself, right? Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, and also, next to the red shirt, there's a soccer jersey for Cambridge Korean Society. He was my vice president, and he was a PhD student in economics at Cambridge University, and he's a major, player in economics in South Korea. He was even before he came to Cambridge, but he got the degree. That's what people do, in like a lot of countries. They're already like big shots, but they get another degree, just to get one more leg up. Um, but some people don't need that. You know what I mean? But yeah, like Hitler did not have a PhD, but he commanded everybody. He had 100% of the support in Germany. you know, Hitler did not have a PhD. He got rejected from art school in Vienna because he's Jewish. Yeah, he wanted to be an artist, but he's like 1/8 Jewish. Like his grandmother is Jewish, and so they were going through anti-Semitic phase in Austria. So they rejected him from the art school because he has 1/8 Jewish blood. Because they just want 100% pure like Germanic people. you know, can you imagine what the history would have been if the art school in Vienna accepted Hitler as an art student? He would have become an artist. I don't know how good of an artist he would have been, but he would not have become the Hitler that he did if the art school in Vienna accepted him. But isn't that ironic? Art school in Vienna rejected him because he's Jewish. Like not fully Jewish, but 1/8 Jewish. Has a grandmother who's Jewish. Because people interview you, right? And then they ask about all kinds of stuff, like family background and stuff like that. So people get vetted, Um, so but anyway, so yeah, that's the irony of Hitler. He's Jewish. He's 1/8 Jewish. You may know a lot of people who's Jewish because his grandmother's Jewish. I know people like that. As you know, like I run in Jewish circles. I lived in Israel for 3 years. I'm an expert of Jews. I know Jews better than Jews know themselves. Really, literally. Yeah, but yeah, but anyway, Korean community, you see, there's not a single white person, not a single black person, not a single Hispanic person. It was 100% ethnically Korean meeting. That's how a lot of Korean meetings are. Koreans don't want like non-Koreans around. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's. I don't know about Latinos. When Latinos get together, do they like want like black people and white people and Koreans around when they have like 100% Latino group? Yeah, I don't think so. That's the point of ethnic meetings, right? If you have a Jewish meeting, like Jewish Congress, what is that? JJC, Jewish Community Center. Do you want like non-Jews around? There's a Jewish community center in every major city in America. Do you want like Gentiles to come to your Jewish community center? I don't know. Maybe some Jewish community centers do. But ethnic groups want to just stay with their own ethnic group. You know what I mean? That's why they're ethnic group. You know what I mean? They wouldn't be called ethnic group if they want all the races to be part of it. You know what I mean? There are 100 different nations represented in just 8th district, right? In Arlington, even there's 100 nations. Do you think whenever they have these ethnic group activities, they want like other ethnic groups to come? They don't want them to come. Unless they actually do it for the other ethnic groups. Like, oh, we're going to have a Greek night for non-Greeks, to make some money or to showcase our culture, But, they have these cultural events that are just for them, in-group activities. They don't want other outsiders to come. I guarantee you it's like that with every ethnic group. Because I'm an expert of history. I've done ethnic studies, so I know how ethnic groups think. This is what we call in-group identity, right? As you know, one of my expertise is group identity, right? Individual identity, group identity, self-perception, intergroup conflict, intergroup conflict. This is my expertise in history. Um, so, identity politics, and that's like, oh, hey, I know identity politics better than I know my own hand. You know what I mean? Oh, what can I say? I'm just stating a fact here. I've researched that for decades, identity politics. So yes, I'm one of the leading experts on it. Yeah, you want to fight? You want to fight? Hey, you want to fight? Hey, Santa Claus. Uh, oh, yeah. Let's go to oh yeah. So we have 297,789 deaths in America right now. Um, and we have confirmed 16,057,434. Hey, you know, tomorrow's church, where over 100 million Christians go to church every Sunday. 100 million, not 6 million, 100 million. Take that. Yeah, but anyway. Oh, fellow brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ. Yeah, so let's go to COVID-19 cases in Europe. So, you know, number one is Russia. You know, our Cold War adversary. Interestingly enough, it's a Christian nation, right? I mean, right now after communism fell, they all went back to like, um, Russian Orthodox Church. You know, and even during the communist era, they celebrated Christmas. Many families secretly. you know, I mean, even like people in the Communist Party, they celebrated Christmas. I mean, what are you gonna do, right? I mean, you can't get rid of identity that's been around for thousands of years. So yeah. So when we think about Europe, including Russia, we think about a Christian culture, Christian civilization, right? So Russia is number one. It is 2,602,048 cases. And the death is at 45,923. So 2% death rate. France is number two, like 2% in America. Number two. France has, and they say there's a lot of anti-Semitism in France. France has the most number of Jews after the Holocaust. Germany had the largest, but they're all killed, during the Holocaust. Some escaped to America or whatever. But France had the largest number of Jews, over 500,000. But there's so much rampant anti-Semitism, they're like all fleeing to like other countries like Israel and America. Yeah. But anyway, so France, you gotta learn from your past. You gotta learn from history. You gotta learn from your experience. If you don't learn, what can you do? 2,405,255 people have COVID-19 cases. Out of that, a 2% death rate, 57,671 people have died. So Russia is like 1.6 or 7%. So I rounded it up. France is like 2 point something percent. So I rounded down. Yeah, that's why there's a number discrepancy there. United Kingdom is number three. Very good Christian nation. 1,835,949 people have gotten COVID. Out of that, 64,123 people have died. Some people think just because Virginia's 8th district is voting Democrat, that like Christians don't care about their identity. You know what I'm saying? You want to test this out? Let's do a stress test. Let's do a stress test and see whether Christian Democrat voting liberals in Virginia's 8th district care about their Christian identity or not. Why don't we do a stress test? I welcome it. So United Kingdom has 1,835,949 cases and a 3% death rate. 64,123 people have died. When you mess around with people's religion, it's not going to end well. You know what I'm saying? I mean, why do you think First Amendment was put into place? For God's sake. When you mess around with the majority religion, I mean, geez, it's going to end in tragedy. That's a guarantee. Yeah, so Italy is number 4. Italy is where the Vatican is. And let's see if the Pope becomes Judas Iscariot and sells us out for 30 shekels of silver. Let's see. Hopefully Francis is no Judas Iscariot, but nobody thought Judas Iscariot would sell us out for 30 shekels of silver, right? Anything could happen in history. Hey, let's see if Pope Francis is a Judas Iscariot. Let's see. Yeah, 1 billion Catholics are watching you, Pope Francis. Um, so Italy has 1,825,775 cases and a 4% death rate. Do you think Joe Biden is a Judas Iscariot? Do you think? Well, he's not even a religious leader. He's not really even a Catholic. But do you think he'll betray Christian America? Joe Biden, what's your guess? 330 million Americans are watching Joe Biden to see if he's going to betray Christian America or not. Yeah, I mean, you think like Democrats who vote Democrat who are Christians, like they don't like their own Christian identity. Is that why they go to church? What do you think? You know what I'm saying? 16 million Catholics in America. You think they don't care about their Christian identity? That's why they go to church, to mass. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, as you see, hey, you don't mess with the majority religion. I mean, don't go out of your way to try to enslave us and tell us what to do. We have our religion that we worship every Sunday. Don't try to put a Jewish star in our churches. That's what I'm saying. Let us worship our God the way we want to. Now, can you imagine if United States outlawed Judaism? You don't think that can happen? You don't think United States of America cannot outlaw Judaism? Yeah, why don't you test us out and see whether we can outlaw Judaism or not? Test us out. Yeah. So yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. Oh, Merry Christmas. It's Christmas time. Christmas brings out the best in us. Christmas brings out the worst in us. You know what I'm saying? Have you gone to your family Christmas parties or Christmas dinners? Christmas brings out the best in us, but Christmas can bring out the worst in us. That's Christmas. We are a family. United States, we are a family. Yeah, number 5, Spain. It's 1,730,575 cases at 3% death rate. Like Father God, Son God, Holy Spirit God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Like that's 3 in one person. That we Christians believe that God is in one God in 3 persons, right? God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. That's what we Christians believe. That's why like 300 plus million Americans believe. Yeah, so Spain has 1,730,575 cases. Those who live by the sword will die by the sword. Those who live by the law will die by the law. Jesus Christ did not say those who live by the law will die by the law, but I'm applying it to United States 2020 context. Jesus did say, those who live by the sword will die by the sword. You know what I'm saying? You want to live by the law? You want to die by the law? Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Those who live by the police will die by the police. I guess you could use the term interchangeably, right? Yeah. So Spain is number 5, 1,730,575 cases. The death rate is 3%. 47,624 people have died. Did you know that Germany Association of Medical Doctors passed a resolution as a professional organization to outlaw every Jew from practicing as a medical doctor in Germany in 1929. Yeah, as a professional association, they said, we want to forbid any Jew in Germany to practice as a medical doctor. We don't care if they're #1 brain surgeons. We don't care if they are #1 heart surgeons. We rather have our German people die than be operated on by Jewish doctors. So This was passed not by the Congress, not by the legislative body, Bundestag. It was passed by Professional Association of Doctors. So 100% of medical doctors in Germany said, we do not want Jews in Germany to practice as medical doctors. We don't care how many of us die. Can you imagine the hatred that went into that? How much you have to hate of people to say, we don't want you to save our lives. It's kind of like Americans not wearing a mask just to spite you. Just to tell you that we don't want to wear a mask. Wait a minute, that's happening right now, isn't it? And now you understand a little bit of what's going on, don't you? Yeah, you have no idea, you have no clue why Americans do the things that they do, right? Yeah, but there's a reason behind everything. Man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeding from the mouth of God. Do you think people value their life the most? I mean, is that why U.S. Marines go and join the military if they value their life? I mean, are they going to just throw it away fighting a war on behalf of America? I mean, geez, there are things that are more important than one's life, right? That's why people join the U.S. Marines. That's why Germany outlawed every doctor who's Jewish from practicing, even though some of the Jewish doctors are the best surgeons in Germany. They rather have their people die than be operated. That's why Americans are not wearing masks, just to spite you. Do you think they don't know that they could die from not wearing a mask? They just do it to spite you. Some of them, not all of them. You gotta understand why people do the things that they do. Right? And you can say until you're blue in the face, tell everybody to wear a mask. If they don't want to wear a mask, they're not going to wear a mask. Not because they don't think they could die from it, because they just want to spite you. They just want to piss you off, right? Because they know if they don't wear a mask, they're going to piss you off. Some people do it just to piss you off. You know what I'm saying? That's just, I mean, that's America, but it's not just America. It's like everywhere. Yeah. So, yeah. God is good. God is good all the time. How good is God? God is good all the time. Tomorrow is Happy Sunday, everyone. When Jesus Christ rose from the dead after being crucified, according to Matthew, Mark, and John, Luke, and John, because the Jews tried to kill them. That's what the Bible says, right? We're going to change the Bible. You know what I mean? That's what the gospel says. What? Just because some people are pissed off at the gospel, you're going to change the gospel? I mean, are you Judas Iscariot? Are you a Judas? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, maybe you are a Judas. Maybe you should look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, am I a Judas? You know what I'm saying? Can I get a 5 when asking yourself, looking at the mirror, am I a Judas? Am I a Judas? Yeah. What can I say? This is America. This is a Christian nation. Over 300 million Americans are Christians. Can I get a 5 on Christian America? Can I get a 5 on 300 million Americans being Christians? Yeah. They can't change this nation and make it into like anti-Christian nation. What are you going to kill all 300 million Christians? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, anyway. Like the military is made up of Christians, police department is made up of Christians, FBI is made up of Christians, CIA is made up of Christians, the Secret Service is made up of Christians. You know what I'm saying? People who protect you, are made up of Christians. Do you really want to start this conflict? Really? I mean, I'm asking you, to be rational about this. Because we like conflict. For 2,000 years, Christians been fighting all kinds of wars. Obviously, because Christians like to fight wars. Look at the Crusades. You know how many years Crusades lasted? You know how many people died in the Crusades? You know how many people lost their homes, their businesses, just to have a crusade? That should show you how much Christians like wars. You know what I'm saying? You can't learn from history. What can you learn from? You know what I mean? Why do you think Christians, ruin their businesses, ruin their families to fight a crusade, and they ended up losing after hundreds of years of fighting? Why? Why do you think they do that? Because Christians is like the war. They like to fight. You know what I mean? You know nothing about us, liberal media. You don't know what Christians are like. Oh, I don't believe in the liberal media. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, if you're liberal, you don't understand us, right? But even if you're liberal, you probably understand us because if you're Christian, you understand us. Because liberals become conservative all the time. Conservatives become liberals all the time. These things happen in life. Yeah. But anyhow, anywho, Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Yeah. Yeah, but let's go back to the hospitalizations here in COVID. So today's article is real life cost of COVID hospitalizations. What do you win? What do you lose from the hospitalization? So that's the theme of today because a lot of people get hospitalized. As you know, hospitalization is going up. So what does that mean for you? What does hospitalization mean for you? So a tragic love story. Engage Somerset couple battles COVID-19. So that's first article. So let's look at the personal piece. What is happening with hospitalization at a personal level? You, your fiance, you, your wife, you, your children. What's going on in America? What is the personal side of hospitalization? Have you wondered, does your insurance cover COVID-19? Have you wondered about that? Let's pretend you get COVID-19 and you get hospitalized for many, many days, and then you live. Is it free, all that hospitalization? Is it free or do you have to pay a medical bill? They say a lot of the people who have cancer dies because, not because they can't live longer, but because their insurance ran out and they can't pay for the medications anymore. Like they maxed out on their insurance and they can't pay more. They can't pay anymore for their medication. So if they could keep paying for their medication, some of them will live like 5 years more. Yeah, that's why a lot of people die, not because they can't live longer, but because they can't pay for it. Pay for the medicine or pay for the procedures. Yeah, that's why most people die within 2 years because, your insurance runs out. So is that like with COVID? Or if you survive, does it cost you a lot of money? Like your retirement fund is gone. I guess insurance companies will not lose. It's like the house always wins, right? Like in gambling. That's why you shouldn't gamble. Um, yeah, so that's why I'm not taking the vaccine. You know what I mean? The house being like Reaper. You know what I mean? Anyway, look at this article. A tragic love story engaged Somerset couple battles COVID-19. So the article says everything was happy and blissful when Raritan eye doctor Brian Rosenblatt and Angel Brown Jett got engaged in last September. A week later, both tested positive for the coronavirus. This was like in September, so it's not a long time ago. Jett recovered, maybe because she didn't have the COVID vaccine. Jett recovered, but their love story quickly turned tragic as Rosenblatt, who has underlying conditions of cancer and leukemia, was hospitalized. He has been on life support for more than 2 months. This tragic love story, it's a beautiful love story with a tragedy in the middle, said Jett, the fiance. He has had pneumonia 3 times since being on the ventilator, said Jett. All of this time at the hospital has mounted medical bills to more than $1 million, estimates Jett. Insurance will cover 80%, because remember, the copay. 80% of the cost after the deductible Jet worries about paying the remaining, right? You gotta have your 20% copay. That's like most insurance, right? Can you imagine having to pay 20% on $1 million? That's $200,000. Do you have that kind of money lying around? So even if you survive COVID, look at all the bill you're gonna have. Maybe they'll write it off, maybe Congress will pass something to help you. Who knows? Because this is going to happen to what? Hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of people, right? Yeah, I mean, I guess millions of people would die. But how many of them will not die and survive with the medical bill? And another question is, if the patient dies, does that mean there's no more medical bill? I guess, I don't know. Or does the medical bill still exist if you're in a family plan? I don't know. I'm not an insurance guy, but yeah, I don't know. If you're in a family insurance plan and your children die, but they have these bills, you still have to pay because they were on your plan. I don't know. Maybe you should call your insurance company and ask about that. But vote for me for U.S. Congress and Virginia State District. We'll fix all this. See, that's one thing that British people don't have to worry about because it's a nationalized health insurance. So there's no bill. You know what I'm saying? As you know, I want an insurance, healthcare insurance where everybody's covered through taxes. You pay taxes, and there's insurance covers everyone, and you have no deductible, no copay. Just for insurance. I mean, because it's ridiculous. Like you have to die from cancer because you can't pay. You know what I'm saying? So for me, as you know, I support capitalism, but for healthcare sake, because who can afford that kind of thing? Like, so if a poor people get cancer, they die right away because their insurance doesn't cover it. It doesn't seem fair, But vote for me. I will do you right. I'll find a way to be fair for all 330 million Americans. But see, this is the kind of thing that British people don't have to worry about because they have a nationalized health insurance. They don't have like the Medicare system through private insurance. The whole insurance is nationalized, like the government runs everything. Because when you have like middlemen, like private insurance, the government utilizes, then things go to haywire because they're all, they have like stockholders, right? So you're gonna get the short end of the stick. So either nationalize the insurance without any private insurance companies, or don't nationalize, right? Those are the two choices. The problem with Obamacare is Obamacare uses private insurance, right? And they're trying to like make it like an insurance of a nation. That's why Obamacare failed, and it's still failing. Either don't nationalize the insurance if you're going to have private companies like in Obamacare, or if you're going to nationalize healthcare insurance, get rid of all the private insurance companies, or at least do not involve the private insurance companies. They could have a supplement private if they want, but just have 100% nationalized government-run insurance company. So either have this or that. Don't blend it like Obamacare. Obamacare failed because of that. Either have 100% private insurance or don't use private insurance for a nationalized insurance service. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, because you have middlemen. There's too much pork. Yeah. Second article: for at-risk patients with COVID-19, a new therapy reaches South Florida hospitals. So hospitalization, we should think about therapies as well, right? So the quote is, an experimental COVID-19 therapy made famous by President Donald Trump. See, President Trump has, he's done a lot of good things. He gets the bad rap. But actually he's done a lot, it's too bad he doesn't get the credit. Monoclonal antibody treatment is the latest tool that South Florida hospitals have for preventing death and severe illness from the novel virus. But there's a catch. It has to be given early for it to work. So hospital officials are pushing the message that people who feel ill should get tested for the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and if positive, call their physicians or report to the emergency room as soon as possible. So you should test, because as soon as you test positive, you go quickly to the hospital. They could try all these, I mean, who knows if monoclonal antibody treatment works, right? There's no 100% proof that it works, but it may work. They could try things that at early stages that could work, although nobody knows for sure. But if you're kind of several days into it, it may be too late. As you know, I took, flu vaccine, but I still got the flu. So Billy Sneed, one of my fellow CNL clinical nurse leader members at Georgetown, he said, the problem with the vaccine is, flu vaccine is that they either give you flu vaccine A vaccine or flu vaccine B vaccine. So if you get the flu vaccine A vaccine, if you get hit with flu vaccine B strand, then you're not protected. So that kind of made me think. I'm like, because I got the flu shot, I believe in the flu shot. So I'm like, Billy Sneed is this smart guy, right? He went to U.S. Naval Academy, served in the U.S. Navy for 20 years. And he's in, he graduated with us on August 24, 2020. So if I got influenza A, so Billy Sneed, he was like, you probably got influenza B vaccine. So you didn't get influenza B, but you were vulnerable to influenza A because it's a different strain of flu. I'm like, that makes sense to me, but I suffered, right? And when I went to the hospital, they said, we can give you remdesivir because you're early stage of flu. So I had those flu viral medication, but it didn't work. I ended up getting acute bronchitis, and I saw the X-ray. It was like, oh my gosh, it was like all white on the X-ray. I'm like, geez, like white dot patches all over my rib cage areas. I'm like, geez, that doesn't look good, So I guess it was like close to pneumonia, or like, I mean, it might have been pneumonia, who knows? But the doctor called it, acute bronchitis, bacterial bronchitis, and gave me like antibiotics. So I took antibiotics, and I nearly died. I kid you not. Only reason I didn't go to hospital was because I was afraid to get COVID on top of like the flu. Because I figured if I had the flu now, if I go to emergency room and somehow if I get COVID-19 on top of the flu, I have zero chance of surviving. Because I'm nearly dying from this flu. I can't breathe. Like I couldn't breathe, I couldn't breathe, but usually when you can't breathe, you should go to hospital, but I know I had the flu because I got tested for flu. I'm taking this remdesivir and it's not working. And somehow it developed into acute bronchitis. I went to the urgent care center again. Thank God for urgent care. Because, one good thing about urgent care is you go there, they'll try to medicate you, and it could work, it may not work. But if you go to emergency room, I would have probably been sent to inpatient right away with the flu. And the reason I went to urgent care is because I didn't want that, because I wasn't sure about the COVID protection, right? If I go to emergency room and I end up getting COVID, I would die, like 100% guaranteed, because I already had the flu. So, and I had the vaccine. As I said, I had the vaccine, but Billy Sneed is like, well, you probably had influenza B vaccine. You got hit with a strain that's influenza A strain, and that's why you got influenza A. He's probably right. So basically, I suffered for like a month. And not just a month. I mean, because I had the flu, which I didn't fully recover from, and then I had this acute bronchitis. So I guess I had two conditions at once. And so the antibiotics worked against bacterial acute bronchitis, so that helped it. But I think I was still like suffering from flu, because like after I felt better in terms of like, um, certain ways, I still felt pain in my body. So it lasted like over a month. And I talked to my one of my nursing professors, who's a public health expert who taught us at Georgetown, who was a nurse at Wakefield High School and was a leader in Arlington County nursing, Professor Lorraine Spencer. Um, and she said, you're probably going to feel the symptoms for a while. And she was right. I was feeling it for like 2, 3 months. Oh, it was strange. I mean, I've never had anything like that in my life. I guess when you have acute bronchitis, bacterial bronchitis with influenza, I guess you experience something like that. Yeah, it was horrible. You know, I mean, I couldn't like smell food. I couldn't taste food. It was weird. I guess when you have like influenza A with like acute bronchitis, yeah, I guess it makes a different kind of a thing. Because I've had flu before, and I don't think I've had bronchitis before. I don't know, maybe I did when I was a kid or something. I don't know. I don't remember. Um, but anyway, so that's why I don't think this vaccine will work, because there are thousands of strains, and all of them have not been identified yet. So let's say you get a vaccine for like COVID-19 strain A, B, and C. And there's like 1,000 other strains. It's not going to protect you from. It's not even going to work. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, I mean, you took the vaccine, so like, who knows what it's doing to your body? So you may actually weaken you to get infected by other strains. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. It's not like flu vaccine, which has been time tested. I recommend everybody get flu vaccine. I got flu vaccine this year, even though I got influenza A after getting the vaccine. I still got the vaccine because I believe in the vaccine. Flu vaccine. I don't believe in the COVID vaccine, but I believe in the flu vaccine because it's been time tested. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I suffered a lot. That was in April 2020. I almost died from this. Yeah, I mean, thank God I survived, but I wanted to go to emergency room. I really did because I couldn't breathe. But I had like flu and acute bronchitis. I'm like, what if I go to emergency room and then I get COVID? I mean, I'll be dead. That's why I didn't go. I mean, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have still gone, they probably would have intubated me because I had a hard time breathing. I don't know my oxygen level was. I didn't have a pulse ox machine here at home at the time. But yeah, I mean, I was like, and all I did is push down like meat because I know I need meat to survive. And I got rest, took the medication, slept like 18 hours a day. Um, you know, and I ate meat. Yeah, I ate meat, like not like none of that like tofu protein, it's like that's like a fake protein. It's like fake fur. I got Popeye's chicken. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna die because if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die happy. So I love Popeye's chicken. Louisiana chicken, like spicy. I always order the spicy, extra crispy, and the Popeye's hot sauce. I'm like, I mean, protein helps you, and I wasn't in any shape to cook anything. So I just like bought buckets of it, put it in the freezer or refrigerator, microwave it, eat it. And I pushed that thing down because I'm like, I know I have to eat. Without protein in my system, my body will not be able to fight off this, whatever it is. Well, I knew what it was, acute bronchitis and influenza. A. So I ate meat, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like Popeye's chicken, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And took my medications, like for acute bronchitis, I took, I guess it was like an antibiotic because it was bronchitis, like bacterial. But influenza, I mean, remdesivir did not work, so I think flu was still continuing. I don't think it had gone. So, there's nothing you could do for that because it's virus and, so the rest would help, to recover your immune system. But I see it as God's miracle that I survived that. I didn't think I would have survived. But I think it was a good combination, eating a lot of meat, breakfast and lunch, dinner. I had like at least three like chicken legs per meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like I didn't want to eat it at a certain point because like I couldn't smell it, I couldn't taste it. But I like put hot sauce on it and ate it because I know I need protein to fight whatever it is. My cells need protein. So, um, but I'm glad I did that. It's pretty expensive, when you have to do that breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But oh yeah, but it was worth it, because I survived. And then I graduated from Georgetown. I didn't want to be the first one to die from like influenza or whatever in the COVID America. In my 25 member cohort, but I survived. Thank God. But so I know how horrible the flu can be. Um, I hope I don't get flu. I mean, I got my flu shot. I'm very careful. And I hear that COVID-19 is worse than flu. Yeah, it's like 10 times worse or maybe like 100 times worse. So I'm like, oh my gosh. Obviously, if I think the vaccine will work, I'll take it. I don't think it will work. Not only that, I think it will compromise my immune system. That's why I'm not taking it. Because I need all my immune system intact till June. You know, so as I said, next December, once I see that vaccine worked and think compromise immune system, I'll take it. But I don't want to be the lab rat experiment, for like multi-billion-dollar big pharma. You know what I mean? I just don't want to be like, part of the, you know, yeah, because, let's say a million people die, big pharma will be like, oh, we thought it would work, but it didn't. Oh, sorry, but you're dead. You know what I'm saying? You get nothing. But big pharma will be like, oh, we honestly thought it would work, but it didn't. But hey, you already paid for me. There's no refund. You're dead. You know what I'm saying? Um, that's why. Um, yeah, it's gonna be horrific. Next 6 months, it's gonna be hell on earth. Hell on earth. Look, I mean, we already have like 3,000 plus people dying in 24 hours. What do you think is gonna happen? It's not even winter yet. Winter did not start yet, everyone. It's still fall. What do you think is going to happen in the winter? Yeah, it's going to be horrible. To live is Christ, to die is gain. That's what St. Paul said, right? For true Christians. Yeah, so tomorrow you'll be singing a lot of Christmas songs. Aren't you excited? Yeah, church. My throat is kind of dry. See, when you lift the mask, that's like whiskey. So, an experimental COVID-19 therapy made famous by President Donald Trump, monoclonal antibody treatment is the latest tool that South Florida hospitals have for preventing death and severe illness from the corona novel virus. But make sure you go like first day you become positive. I would encourage you to test yourself every day because the day that you become positive, you should go. Because if you wait a few days, it's useless. Like when I went in with my flu, the doctor said, well, remdesivir, it only works like first 2 days. If you had flu more than 2 days, it's not going to work. That's what she said to me. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that. 1 or 2 days makes that kind of difference. If you're like day 3 of flu, it's not going to work. They're not even going to give it to you. Like Tamiflu or whatever it is. it's not going to work if you've had it more than for 22 days. Yeah, did you know that? That's why getting tested is important. Yeah, so as soon as you get symptoms, I would actually recommend you to go to like emergency room, because if you go to emergency room, the moment you feel something and they test you and you're positive COVID, they can start giving you all kinds of stuff at the hospital, right? Which they can't do at an urgent care center, right? Because they don't have it. That's why I would say, like, I didn't go to hospital because I already knew I had the flu, right? Um, but looking back, I think had I gone to emergency room the moment I felt like bad, they probably would have got me out of the hospital very soon. Because they have everything at the hospital. So that's what I would recommend. If you feel like under the weather, just go to emergency room. They'll test you. If you have COVID, they'll give you what you need. They get you out of the hospital. I mean, the hospitals want you out, get well and out as soon as possible, right? Um, so I think going to emergency room is the best. If you can't breathe, you feel like not yourself, just go to the emergency room. And then if you're negative, then you just go home or whatever. But if you're positive, they'll take care of you. I think that's a good strategy. Come to Virginia Hospital Center, they'll take good care of you. Just emergency room. I feel bad for the emergency room doctors and nurses. Many of them probably will die because, I mean, some are negative, some are positive. You know, everybody goes through the emergency room. That's like thank God I'm not an emergency room nurse. I don't know why some of my um, fellow clinical nurse leader members from Georgetown want to become emergency nurses. Like, I guess, they want to become emergency nurses before COVID. Like Meredith Goodrich, our president from 2020, she wants to be an emergency nurse. I don't know if she still does. But, you know, uh, but anyway, what can you say? Um, yeah, so, but there is a catch. It has to be given early. Yeah, see, early for it to work. So hospital officials are pushing the message that people who feel ill should get tested for COVID virus, and if positive, call their physician or report to the emergency room as soon as possible. So as I said, if you feel like you're sick, you have if you have a temperature machine at home, thermometer, and you have high temperatures, go straight to emergency room. Because sooner they catch it, sooner they could help you. I would not encourage you to go to urgent care. Uh, if it's like beginning stages, just go to emergency rooms. If it's positive, they'll they'll get the best treatment. If it's negative, they'll get you out. So um, I think emergency room is the best for this season. It could be a matter of life and death. I mean, do what you want, but I think that's the best strategy to go. Get three. Um, he treated Houston's most desperate COVID patients, then he became a victim. So one bad thing about hospitalizations is nurses will get it and die, doctors will get it and die. That is definitely coming. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm predicting that every hospital in this area, Fairfax Hospital, Alexandria Hospital, Virginia Hospital Center, MedStar Georgetown Hospital, MedStar Washington Hospital Center, Children's National Hospital, George Washington University Hospital, Suburban Hospital, uh, Sibley Hospital, Adventist Hospital, every hospital with at least 12 nurses die, at least 12. Um, and I'm thinking before Christmas. So Christmas is 15 days away. Now you could have a situation where 5 nurses die in a day. You know what I'm saying? So, or even 10 nurses die in a day. Um, yeah, I mean, just wait and see what I mean. You'll see death picking up. I mean, right now we're at 3,000, 500 ish. You'll get to 5,000, then 10,000, then 20,000. You'll see that. Um, so this third article, he treated Houston's most desperate COVID patients that became a victim. So let's read the details. Araujo Preza, court king, he would quarantine at his lake house to protect her and his 78-year-old mother who lived with them. So after he discovered he was COVID-19. As a critical care pulmonologist, he'd spent months treating hundreds of critically ill COVID-19 patients at HCA Houston Healthcare in Tomball. Araujo Frazier was 51 and fit, not a high risk of serious coronavirus complications, he assured her. King, a nurse practitioner at his practice, knew. Well, you know the ending of the story, he died, right? Because became a victim. Um, so, yeah, he was 51. So he's not young, but he's not old. Um, people live to be 100, but he died. Yeah, so a lot of doctors who are 51 years old or nurses who are 51 years old, you kind of need to worry. Um, a lot of you are, especially if you work in like, emergency room or intensive care unit, it's kind of risky, you know. Um, yeah, obviously pulmonologists, people, respiratory therapists, these are very risky jobs in COVID-19 era, especially if you're treating COVID-19 patients. They have to be treated. So pulmonologists and respiratory therapists have to, work with them. So it's very risky job right now. But anyway, a lot of doctors will die, a lot of respiratory therapists will die, a lot of nurses will die. That's something that you're expecting, with this COVID-19. So, it's tragic, even one death is tragic. And, you know, I'm predicting 30 million Americans will die, not because I want them to die, I want them to live. This is why I created the show, right? I created the show COVID-19 Update by Heerak to give you guidance on how to survive COVID, how to help your children survive COVID. That's what this show is all about, right? Um, so I don't want you to die, but the problem is this, right? I called from this show to every governor, every mayor in the United States of America to shut down public schools in order to not have infection spread. But did they listen? Well, some did listen. Virginia's 8th district, public schools all closed down, right? Arlington public schools, Alexandria public schools, Falls Church public schools, Fairfax County public schools, they all closed. That's why we kept the cases down. Washington, D.C. public schools also closed. But, outside of that, you had all these schools open. Of course, it's going to spread. And I've been like tweeting COVID-19 vector. Open schools vector COVID-19 death. I've been tweeting this for like over 4 months now. And people still don't listen, Like these governors, like New York Governor Cuomo, and these mayors like Mayor de Blasio, they don't listen. I'm just trying to save the children here, and you're not listening, and look what's going on in New York. They're again spiking like crazy. Well, it's predictable if you open schools. It's predictable. What's so surprising? What would be surprising if you don't have spikes after opening schools? That would be like a surprise. But if you open schools, then you should expect the spike. Because look, I'm the Leonardo da Vinci of 21st century, Heerak Christian Kim. I've been telling you for months that's what's going to happen. And ye of little faith did not believe me, did you? Well, look, what I've been predicting has come true. Um, and we're not even in winter yet. This is December. We have December, January, February, March, April, May, June. 6 months to go. So I want to do a cheer for clinical nurse leaders from Georgetown. 25 of us graduated from Georgetown University on August 24, 2020. I'm predicting that 5 will die before Christmas, 5 of them. We're 15 days away, so, anything can happen in 15 days. Um, now, obviously, I don't want you to die, but I believe that that could happen. I hope that won't happen. I mean, I'm presuming that all 25 are working in hospitals now, right? I mean, obviously, if less than that are working, then you got to take 20% of that. Yeah. So CNL 2020, yay! You may die from COVID before Christmas, but at least you can write in the tombstone, you graduated from Georgetown, yay! You know, these things are important. Well, you can write it in the epitaph in the graveyard, gravestone. You know, have you walked through the graveyard, looked at the gravestones? You know, it's like, oh, wife, mother, loved until her death. You know what kind of nice? That's a nice gravestone. You know, uh, right? So you could say, hey, die from COVID, but die to Hoya. You know what I'm saying? So CNL 2028. You may die from COVID. You may die from COVID. Before Christmas, you may die from COVID. But you can write die to Hoya with CNL. CNL. Oh, that's if you pass the CNL exam. So, master's program in CNL at Georgetown. Yay! I passed. I was the first one to pass in my whole program. I was the first one to pass my RN exam, the NCLEX RN exam in my whole program. Yeah. What can I say? I'm just stating the facts here. These are just the facts. Um, you know what I say? Police officers are people too. Soldiers are people too. That's what I say. They're not like robots. They're people too. To the new glory to the King. Oh, joy, joy, joy to the world. Earth receive the King. We sing Jesus is King, man. Jews are probably pissed off when we sing this song. Hey, no offense. I'm just pointing at the obvious here. Don't get all like bent out of shape. You have your Jewish state. You could go to if you don't want to hear these things. I mean, hey, this is America. America. What are you gonna shut us up? All of us. Shut us up. You want like total silence in America? For God's sake. There's a Muslim state, there's a Jewish state. Hey, if you want to be in a Muslim state, go to Muslim state. If you want to be in a Jewish state, go to Jewish state. This is a Christian state. What are you gonna shut all of us up? Give me 5 on the Christian state. Give me 5 on the Christian state. As you know, my motto is bring America back to God. And by God, I mean Jesus. You know what I mean? If you don't want to vote for me, don't vote for me. But I have a First Amendment right to say what I want to say. I have the right to run my campaign the way I want. I said, bring America back to God. Joy to the world. I don't believe the liberal media. Well, what do you want to do? Like make this into a totalitarian state where we can't talk about Jesus publicly? Like former USSR, totalitarian socialist state, Marxist socialist state? Is that what you want? Joy to the world. That's what Jesus the King brings. That's all I'm saying. Joy to the world. It doesn't say joy to your household. It says joy to the world. Can I get a 5 on joy to the world? Joy to the world. Hey, you don't like this joy? Leave our country. That's what I say. Joy to the world. Yeah, I'm saying the world. I love Jesus. Love. Love Jesus. carry the hours saying, I share this love for Jesus. So does Taki. Taki says, I love Jesus. And Leo says, I love Jesus too. We are a Christian household here. Everybody loves Jesus. Nations rise, triumph of the skies. Angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Who's out there? Celsi Seo. This is my magnifying glass. Who's out there? In excelsis Deo. You may sing this at church tomorrow. Are you excited? This is one of the nicest songs to sing. Sing glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. That's in Palestine. Yay, Palestinians Day, yay! Glory to the newborn King. They're like 50% of the Bethlehem are Palestinian Christians. The city of Bethlehem. Our brothers and sisters in Christ. Sister, oh. Hello, Palestinian Christians in Bethlehem. We love you, brothers and sisters in Christ.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm.
I hope that your family will be well and that your children will be well too. Tune in tomorrow for latest updates on COVID-19 and expert insights from the Leonardo da Vinci of 21st century to help you survive and to help your children survive in COVID-19 America. Remember, we have 6 more months of COVID-19 death proliferation to go. See you tomorrow. Bye.